Now let's take a look at some local stories where 10 months after pulling the trigger to kill a pregnant lawyer in Aja, Lagos, suspended Assistant Superintendent of Police Vandy Dramdi on Monday was sentenced to death by hanging by a Lagos High Court sitting at the Tafawa Balewa Square. Dramdi had stopped a car on the last Christmas Day for routine check and in the process fired a bullet which penetrated the chest of Bolanle Rahim, a property lawyer who was riding in the car with her husband and other relatives. While delivering the judgment on Monday, Justice Ibironke Harrison says the court affirmed through a post-mortem that Rahim died of bullet wounds she sustained from Dramdi's AK-47. The judge also established that the policeman actually pulled the trigger against his claim of accidental discharge. She says the prosecution team from the Lagos state government has proven the case beyond all reasonable doubts. The defense lawyer, however, gave an indication that the judgment would be appealed. Now, Arise analyst Dayo Sobowale joins us now to discuss the need for police reform to reorientate police personnel as a way to curb extrajudicial killings by police personnel and make the roads safer for all. Good afternoon. Very warm welcome to the program today, Mr. Sobowale.
It's a pleasure to be here, as usual.
Yeah, right. So let's get straight into it. Your key takeaways from this, of course, in the context of police reorientation and police reform.
Well, first of all, justice has been served. Because it was a pathetic case, Christmas time, pregnant woman, just like that. It is pathetic. But then it shows the state of police brutality in our nation. It is pathetic, and it has to be arrested. It has to be arrested. I believe even at times, there is something I will call over-policing. I was reading the newspaper today. In Katsina State alone, 90 kidnapped suspects, 90 rape suspects, 72 murder suspects in custody. That's one state. That's one state. And the PRO was reeling out the figures. That is one state. Now you tell me, if all these people are suspects, what is the strength of the police? You get me? To even prosecute the cases, because the statistics, the issue, are overwhelming. But it shows they are working. I'm not at odds with their working, but they should stem the tide of police brutality. I was going through some reports, on overseas policing, Metropolitan Police in England, 2014 to 2023. The number of people killed. Each year, it was not up to, between 2014 and 20, not up to 6. Not up to 6. Even, I think, between 2013 and 14, nobody was killed in England. And Nigeria, I was reading Punch, some reports, preparing for this thing. You see, the number of people that have been killed in Nigeria, this year alone, not to talk of, if you calculate it over now, it is not on. I will say there is aggression in our type of policing. And you have to look at it creatively and make suggestions to the police officers themselves to find a solution. The excuse has been given in the past that the police are not really looked after. Look at the barracks and all that. But we are NSAS. Where it led us. It is galvanized a political movement born out of indignation, get me, and the sense of injury from those who should protect us. And then we are still asking for help, because today in the papers, the Minister of State was receiving the representative of the European Union and was asking for technical assistance from the European Union to help our police do their work in such a way that it will be intelligence-led and it will be technologically sound.
Now, permit me at this
Yes.
point to come in. And I would ask the question, because some people have accused law enforcement now, talking about police and other bodies here that are supposed to...
Security units.
Yes, majorly security units here in Nigeria, of cowardice. Because the question is, where do we draw the line between setting up roadblocks as a means to trap and extort money from people and true policing? The reason why I ask this question is, we see these people come out and say they want to safeguard the roads and they want to safeguard the lives of Nigerians. And they become a little bit trigger happy, like we've seen play out. And as soon as that happens, we see those people flee from those areas and relocate to somewhere else because they know that they've actually erred and the people are angst and there might be reprisals. Just like last week, or probably almost 2 weeks right now, somewhere in Agor Palace in Okota, there was a back and forth between a driver and a last man official. And they were struggling the steering. The car flipped over, killed and squashed a keke where it had 5 people that died in that particular place. There used to be over policing of some sort on that particular route. But in the last 2 weeks, reports coming from there says that last mile officials have not been seen since that particular incident. But before then, they always went on that road as if they don't go there, their lives literally depended on being on that road. And we see these things play out time and time again. And the big question that is going back to the question I asked initially, where do we draw the line between setting traps for Nigerians to fall, whereby you can use that as a means to extort money, and true policing?
Look, you first of all accuse them of cowardice.
Reports having that, okay, yes.
So let's discard that first. But you see, the first duty of police is to protect the citizenry. And in doing that, if they carry guns, it's meant to deter, that they know they're harmed. But you see, if they use their guns frivolously, like as is the case now, then something is wrong. Maybe all of them should not be given live ammunition. That is one. And then, like some people said, maybe before you give some people live ammunition to carry, you do some psychiatric tests to know their mental state of health. So that they do not, like you just said, somebody got annoyed and fired. Whereas the gun is meant to deter. Deterrence is, different from inflicting injury. The fact that the thief or the person at the roadblock knows that they will be checked is enough to deter. You get me? So the police should not go to the whole hog and then shoot people. It is supposed. It's a matter of orientation. Maybe the police authorities, the police service commission. You get me? Like this man on trial now, will probably appeal. You get me? But from the way the judge laid out the scenario, everybody knew he was the one who did it. So it was just getting technical and legalistic. So justice has been served. What is needed now is to control the police in such a way that in deterring the public from committing crime, they don't in the process lose their temper and kill the same people they are supposed to look after. You get me? Their mental situation, mental state of health matters. It matters.
No,
maybe they should make them go through some.
But when the police carry the mentality it is us against them, and they see everyone that comes across their way as suspects, because that's I'm more about the mentality in which they approach their duty as against trying to just safeguard Nigerians. They see it as us against them. We are trying to find faults.
I said mentality. I said their mental state should be examined. You still don't see a coincidence in what we are saying?
Okay.
And what is more important, again, is to borrow a leaf from other nations. Look, in the US, racism is there. The police assumes the black man is a criminal.
Yes.
That's led to defunding the police.
True.
You get me? In our own case now, the NSAS thing led literally to the arrival of the Labour Party on the scene. You get me? So it's not as if people are not up and doing on this. Society will react to it. Society will react to it positively. But we have police authorities, we have police service commission, we have police commissioners and all that. And I've just given you an example of Katsina State. You get me? between June and 4 months, you saw the number of people, rapists, kidnappers, and other something. You see, the police wants to be seen as doing their duty, and there's not much you can do about it. You get me? Because they are to provide security. If they say, okay, I can give you an example. After SARS, some policemen, our friends among them, said they will, see if there's a crime going on, they will sidetrack it and go on, even if they are armed. You get me? So it's a carrot and stick situation. We need them, just like they need us. So we must strike a balance, a balance between providing them the wherewithal, the training, intelligence, and the technology to deter thieves, whilst at the same time protecting us in the process. You cannot alienate them. You have to train them and understand them.
Now, Mr. Sobowale, the last administration created the Ministry of Police Affairs in 2019. And September 16, 2020, the police bill was signed. So we are all aware that there is a problem. However, I'd love to know from your standpoint, from 2019 to present day, how do you think the trajectory has gone? Are we in a worse situation than we were when the Ministry of Police Affairs was created? Is it effective? Does its mandate need to change and evolve?
But you know, there's general insecurity in the land. You know that now. That's why I mentioned kidnapping, abduction, rape, and all that. You see, they have the wherewithal. In fact, even on this forum too, on the type of pension they give them. You see, the other armed forces, security forces, have non-contributory pension fund, and they did not give the police. Some of us advocated, look, you include them in the security to give them incentive. Get me? But you see, you cannot use the trajectory of rising crime rate in a situation where you have insecurity all over the country arising from religious, ethnic, and so many other issues. These are political. You can't pin the police down to the general insecurity. But essentially, the police are to provide internal security. I don't buy the idea of bringing the army to supplement the police. If the police are well armed, they are well trained, they are well housed, if they are well looked after, there should be incentive for them to protect us. But then that is the issue of people discharging guns anyhow. The police should look into that. Not all policemen should be given live ammunition.
All right, finally, before we go, just briefly, I would like to hear from you. Do you think, first of all, a lot of people see this as a win, a silver lining in a very dark cloud of police animosity. But do you think this message will ring through?
I will not call it error. It's police brutality, not animosity. The Nigerians like you and me now. It's police brutality. They can't just hate us. How will they hate us?
Some will beg to differ because they've been back and forth on social media about police, for example, and
brutality.
And phone and probably mobile phones. When police started flashing expensive mobile phones, and people began to question them. That you look at young Nigerians and ask them why should they carry expensive mobile phones, and you begin to oppress them, literally. And you are now beginning to do that, and you and I know that your salaries might not be able to support that. So probably, maybe that's the basis for me breaking it out.
Myself over that. I've seen people going on Okada, young people, and then they stop them, ransacking their something. That is frivolous policing.
So probably, maybe my words might not be far from it.
How? Okay. What is your word this time?
Okay,
unfortunately, Nigerians like you. It's police brutality.
Okay.
It should be
thank you very much.
Condemned.